Okay. Um, Let me just start by saying the same thing I always say, and this is the portion of the video that's somewhat spiritual and religious, maybe the only portion, because my videos are not about religion or spirituality. I'm just providing testimonials of what's been happening to me as a target individual, and it's also a way for me to vent because I tend to listen to a lot of the videos I make for myself, not even for myself, but on YouTube, as a way to keep things into reality. And it's not easy. Reality is on a daily basis altered, manipulated, and changed. And I need to keep in touch with reality because they are changing who I am. They've been changing who I am since August 2019. They've been manipulating me. And when I mean changing who I am is like they're making me experience experiences that will not be organically experienced, reaction that will not be organically reaction. And that's because unfortunately I'm a target individual. And as a target individual, I understand the reality of what this is. I've accepted the reality for what it is. I don't delude myself, and I've accepted that as a human being, I'm no longer a human being experiencing organic experiences, and I'm not free minded because my mind is no longer mine. My mind is being altered and manipulated by the technology that can do that. I will never identify with this manipulation. I understand technology of that nature has been developed and worked on for decades. And I know it does sound like it's crazy, science fictional, almost like what was the term, conspiracy-ish, but literally a textbook written in the 50s and the 60s, actually in the 60s to be exact, about that. And by renowned neuroscientists who were the godfathers of implanting electrodes in brains. And in the books, they even showed how much they were able to do and the factual aspect of what they were already able to demonstrate. They were able to do these things in the 60s. It's something they've been able to do then with obviously a more uh, old school technology, meaning they used to just implant devices in the brains of animals and human beings, and were able to stimulate the brain. And by creating the stimulation, they were able to demonstrate that they were able to do some kind of manipulations, from sexual behaviors to induce some kind of emotions and even like movements based on the stimulation of the brain. If you want to get that book, the name of the book which was written by the neuroscientist known as the godfather of brain surgery, or not even brain surgery, uh, brain implants, I should say. His name is Jose Delgado, very renowned scientist, neuroscientist, who was also a professor at Yale, and also was founded by the DoD specific agency entity in the DoD. I think it was the Naval, and I think the Air Force was one of the entities specifically donating and funding his projects. This is truly out there. This man's book is in many medical libraries, and he is very respected in his field. And what he was able to demonstrate was basically something that changed a lot of what people saw as what we're capable to do in way of controlling the mind. It's not conspiracy theories. The book is literally there. The name of the book is called Physical Control of the Mind. And as you can clearly hear, the title is about controlling the mind. And he shows what he was doing. There's pictures of the different subjects he was using as developing this technology, inclusive animals and human beings. It's validated, and he has a whole chapter about the factuals in regard to what he was able to do and what it implies. and he talks about the evolution of these manipulations in the 60s. Obviously, and the book was written in 1969, so his implication are specific to what he was able to do back then. And so today, you can only imagine if in the 50s, in the 60s, they were able to do that, what it means that if the evolution of this mind manipulation and control due to stimulation, you can only imagine today's ability and the evolutions of what they can do. Now, I am unfortunately one of the test subjects. I found out that something was happening to my brain on August 19, 2019 when the changes start happening. But on top of that, I realized there's some another layer because this is a governmental program. And I understood as a target individual, I'm one of those test subjects. But the other layer is the ecosystem that surrounds you. That ecosystem that they make sure that a target individual who's a test subject, especially the one who's being manipulated in this fashion, that ecosystem is an ecosystem of individuals who are contracted by these governmental entities that are implementing certain things that they are supposed to. They're supposed to make you identify with the manipulations. Their job is to convince you that you're not being manipulated. Matter of fact, you should feel guilty. And they are super theatrical. And these theatrics are supposed to make you accept that what you're experiencing is not something that they're making you experience, but that is something that you organically experience. Now, with me, it goes further because at this point it's just too validating. So they start using verbiage of like, no, we're just not manipulating you, we're just mapping your brain. That they're not altering your brain to have this experience, but they're just mapping. They use this weird verbiage that is coming from like very childlike individuals, by the way. Very like, and they don't even childlike because they're just children. They are obviously adults. That they themselves become these childlike clowns. And they will do anything to convince you into accepting these things. So when I say I'm thankful, is I could have been one of them. Because the participation can come from people from all walks of life. From the most intellectuals to the dumbest of the dumbest. Okay? And they all have to act a certain way. Because the goal is to gaslight you. Like, the just common gaslighting. But just the gaslighting is supposed to make you believe that you're not being manipulated. That you should identify with this manipulation. That you should feel guilty for this manipulation. No, nothing. You should feel guilty for what you're experiencing, even though you know that this manipulation is a manipulation, that you are being forced to experience that, and the people who want you to feel guilty are participating in how you are being manipulated. Their job is to make you believe and make you acceptive of these things. And the gimmickiness come in all shape and form. I mean, I live in where I live and where I work is two different worlds. I live in a place that is, there's a lot of childlike individuals, very childish, young, from young adult to kids involved in this. And they are the clowns. You can hear these clowns being fanatical. They're very delusional in reality. In real life, in the known gaslighting, task job where they're supposed to do that, their life is not the most stable. They're not people who have their things together. They're childlike individuals. They're kids, they're young adults, so things are, still unstable in life. And so you can hear that they are becoming fanatical because this gives them a little bit of something to hold on to. They make them feel very special because this technology has the ability to alter human beings. So everybody felt very intoxicated by the ability to control human beings. But now imagine allowing a childlike individual who don't have their own things together involve themselves in that. It gives them an extra level of of intoxicating feeling. And you can hear that, but at the same time, you don't take them serious because at the same time, they're not fully developed in the brain. Then I go to the office, a place where there's a lot of professionals of all sorts, young adult, professional, mid-range and older individual, or more established and seasoned professionals. Supposed every day they live a life of analytical, professionalism. They're people who have accomplished things in their life. There's executive. There's people, all ranges. There's, somewhat big deals. There's some people who are entry levels. There's all levels. And then you see how they act, their job, how they're become gimmicky too. Matter of fact, I think, and to be honest, the gimmickiness and the clown and the gaslighting I'm experiencing at work, at the office, is definitely even worse there than here. Here, they act like clowns and all that, but it seems like they have like you can tell like it's just like it's hard to believe. Like it's not hard to, it's hard to just explain. Then at the office, they still want to be respected. They still want to be looked at as somebody you should respect us, and they still have like a shame to look stupid. So it becomes another level of fanaticalness, because it's like we are dumbing ourselves down, and let's make it worth it. And you can hear the frustration of them. They have a frustrating reality. They hate the reality of things. They get frustrated, and it's become more obvious. And so their job too is to make me accept of this. They employ me to participate in what's happening to me. They employ me after I became a target individual, after I knew I was a target individual, after I started being manipulated. I got employed August 19, 2019, that's when things happened to me. About a year and 2-3 months later, I got employed. And so by then, I've already made videos. I've understood what this was. The summer of 2020, that's when my first video is July 1st, 2020, right? And I was able to put things together because I discovered what target individual was. I started listening to testimonials. I started to see a pattern. I started understanding this is something they do consistently, systematically. This is what they've been working on for decades. There's testimonials, people from all the way in the 60s and the 70s, not in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, obviously 2000. But testimonials became very, very similar to what I went through. I think the most impactful testimonial was a woman called Mariana Maritato. She had the most similar experience as me. The only thing that's perhaps different about her is like she doesn't get the gang stalking, but she get the V2K, the synthetic telepathy, and a lot of the manipulation when they do this in the body, the psychological, the mental, the cognitive tormenting tactics. This is very similar to me. I think what I do have that she doesn't have, it sounded in her testimony that she doesn't have that extra layer of ecosystem that just try to make her accept this manipulation. But others have. Other have, and I've heard so many testimonials where they try to it's like the psyops of try to make you believe that you're somebody you're not. There's a lot of defamation. There's a lot of the very typical things. I've heard testimonials of women with children where they get the same manipulation, then they have people with it's been very consistent of the same technology, of the same tactics. So I now employed, made videos about, before even start working with them, many videos, maybe 20, and maybe the best videos, the most viewed videos at least. The most viewed videos were made before I started working. And so I've been very vocal about it, and as I've been employed, these perps have been trying to gaslight me into accepting this story, into accepting the manipulation. I personally find the purpose behind what's happening to me in the sense that every of these perps, these people participating, especially at the office, still want to maintain a facade of like sensibility and people you should respect. You shouldn't respect this trash. I don't. I don't respect them. I think they're human, low life. Matter of fact, they're worse than the people here, because they want to present themselves as, oh, we just look at us, look how professional we are. We won't do these things. Trash. They will be the biggest opportunists. Now, this video is really about what you just saw, my last video, and you clearly see how bad it became. One thing at the office, what they've been trying to do is to try to erase the reality and rewrite history. Who put me in this program? I've been vocal before I start working for this, knowing that I used to work for this company based in this location, doing these things. In my first video, you can clearly hear me mention who put me in this program, or at least describe who put me in this program. You hear me say that I used to work for this company. There was some friction. This company is the type of company that can talk to anybody and can reach anybody. And so it's clearly that these people are the one who put me in this situation. I said that before I was employed. Matter of fact, I was saying the reason why I'm hiding my face is because I'm looking for employment. I said that. Now these perps, due to who I was employed by, how conservative they were, what they've done, what they've invested in, what they've spent their money in regard of donations, politically wise, they're trying to rewrite what happened to me. That company put me in this program, and today I deal with a lot of disturbing things. Now, physically, my body is truly not doing well. Starting from my lower parts, my feet, my legs, my bones there, my tibia, my knees, my hips, all of that, it seems like they are handicapping me or doing things to fragilize those parts. I can feel my knee at any point can pop. My feet looks weird, but my bones do also feel weird when I feel like bumps. And my hip, when I walk, I feel like my hip is just kind of stiff, or not stiff, but just kind of sore. And they're doing things to that. The upper body, when it comes to my stomach, my internal organs there seem to be damaged. I cannot digest food. I cannot eat food properly. And I've lost so much weight, and I didn't have much weight in the first place, so now it's just bad. And a lot of other organs are not doing well there. My spine, I can feel the little bit of pain. They are doing things to my spine, and they tell me they're gonna make me handicapped. My shoulders, my elbows definitely look like they're becoming dislocating. They're twisting it, or at least feels like it. My neck feels off when I do this. I can feel cracks. My jaw, even my eye, because my skull feels like it's just growing differently. So they're doing these things, damaging my whole body. But the truth, that's not even the worst. What they're doing to my brain is the worst. My brain is hacked, meaning that they have been able to control a lot of what I experience because they've been able to control my mind. When I say that this book in 1969, written in 1969, showing what they were able to do, the demonstration of what they were able to do in those days, consisting of manipulation of all kinds of reactions, emotions, stimulations, all kind of, and showing that they were able to do that, demonstrating that it was possible, and doing this, and the factuals and the implication of these facts. It's clear. You can clearly see that today, by looking at the evolution of technology, how far ahead we are. And I'm a testimonial of that. Me and so many others. I'm not unique in this, not at all. This is not about me. This is about developing the technology these entities are developing. And what those entities are the same entities donating, not donating, sorry, investing, because this is not a donation, they're investing in the development of this technology. Investing to be able to control the mind and be able to weaponize this technology and weaponize other technology that can do so much to your body and attack your body in so many ways. Clearly, this technology can be applied in a positive way, but it's not the case. They are developing, and some people involved in these opportunists, civilians, want to take advantage of that. Because we're talking about advanced technology coming from the DoD. I work in a current vertical where high level of technology is appreciated and perhaps can help clientele. So I can see out of everybody that could have employed me, they would be the most opportunist in this. Okay. My mind today is being altered and manipulated. Right now they're just trying to, like, it's funny how they like try to convince you that you're not being manipulated. Sometimes they bring out some random stuff. It's like, hey, now you remember you thought about being sponsored. Like some random stuff. I don't even want to go into that. If I start talking about what they make me think, sometimes it'll make this whole video even more confusing. So that's perhaps why they're bringing that up. But they can control your mind, and they want you to make you. They want you to accept this manipulation. Right? They control your mind. And to make you accept, sometimes they bring out some random stuff. Yeah, remember you thought about this thing sometimes, and this is just a random thing, just to let you know. You see, we're not manipulating you because this is thought you thought about. They do that all the time. It's to try to make you believe that you're not being manipulated. Yes, you know me very well, and you're changing me. You've been changing me since August 19, 2019, because the truth is, this technology can manipulate you, can control you. Not only that, obviously, before that, to control you, they have to know who you are. So they know who you are, and then they start changing you. They start changing me on August 19, 2019. That's when they start manipulating my brain. I guess there's a stage where they just learn they're mapping your brain. Once they map your brain, that's the when they start manipulating your brain and be able to implant, manipulate, and make you experience, invoke any kind of reaction. The control starts. At least it becomes obvious that they're controlling you. And I'm on the stage, and with time, the control is even worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It's like it just fades away more and more. And for me, they manipulate me and they start using different verbiage. Now we're mapped. They're mapping your brain so they can control your brain. And they map my brain initially to be able to control my brain. And with time, they're able to control your brain even better. They use these clowns from every walk of life to try to convince you that you're not being manipulated. Because at the end of the day, the ultimate weapon here, what this is really about, is the ability to control human beings. There's nothing more powerful than that. It's the ultimate, the end goal of any there's no weapon system that can surpass that. In life, if you try to develop a technology or a weapon, controlling the mind will be the ultimate weapon. And they are able to control. Now, with this purpose, they want me to identify this manipulation as if I'm not being manipulated. I think in their mind, it's just also a way to make themselves look like they're not the trash that will force somebody to have this reaction. But these manipulations are not unique to me. They manipulate other people in the same way. But like I said, a lot of these perps want to still present themselves as regular people, not the trash that they are. Because the way they manipulate people is so degrading. When they manipulate them in this degrading way to weaponize this technology. Yesterday I was at the office. And I guess it became a desperate time. Why? I know who destroyed my life. If you go into the video I made yesterday, the last part, you hear me talking to somebody and say that, listen, when it comes to work, I'm not here to try and change the world. I'm not here to change your world, but I'm here. You should say something. I'm talking to managers. Like, you should talk about how people, when we work at this company, it's about work. It's not about your race. It's not about this and that, but it's about the company. That was a conversation I was recording with my manager in 2018. He didn't know I was recording that. 2018. And then you hear what the company was doing, who they were donating money to. A man called Roy Moore. Then you're gonna hear what Roy Moore allegations, what he was allegedly doing to children as young as 14 years old when he was an assistant DA. They tried to play with my brain. When he was an assistant DA in Alabama. Then you hear a weird conversation. The video you couldn't see, you'll see it soon. I was in the same office where I'm currently working. It's an office somewhere in New York. It's a big building, known building somewhere here. Big company in the middle of New York City, or somewhere in the downtown in the city. Walking through the building. Anyways, I know that for some reason, I don't know why, but I know that for some reason, saying Roy Moore is something that they have issues saying in an open way. They can say it, I've heard them say it, but they say it in this way of like just kind of, it's hard to hear. They've mystified a man who allegation consists of doing things to 14-year-old when he was an assistant DA in his 30s. Being banned from the YMCA while he was an assistant DA. When they say the name Roy Moore, it is said in this way that is very hard to hear, clearly showing that they're not allowed to say the name in an open way. Kind of humbling this trash for what they are. Because what you're going to hear in the last video is you hear people ridicule this Roy Moore. But this trash says the name in these ways of hard to hear. They have to time it. And it's funny with me, that's how pathetic it is with them. When they say in this hidden way, or this fashion of saying it, they become like, oh, I dare say it. Oh, well, you said it like that. You're a clown and a coward. You couldn't say Roy Moore when I'm paying attention and waiting for you to say it. You have to time it. You have to make it like it's a game to say Roy Moore like it's a boogeyman. Like not even a boogeyman. Like it's somebody who's like you. Yeah, be careful how you say it. You're giving that much to a man who allegedly did these things, showing how trashy and clown and nothing you are. And they still find strength in that. It's like, oh, I'm so brave. It's like, no, you're just shit, actually. You're just a clown. And that's validation. Now, I don't know why they cannot say that. I don't know if the restrictions, like this is an important person, you better careful how you say his name. These people are, he's one of the people who you don't want to mess with. But for whatever reason, they cannot say his name in this open way. They have to time it. They have to, there's a lot of effort to say the name. Don't know why. But I use that as to make sure they know, it's like, you see the reality? You are nothing. You are nothing. The effort you put in to say the name just shows how nothing you are. So I go into the building. There was the guy who's definitely not a nobody. and I'm not trying to gas him up. You can clearly see that he's probably an executive or somebody who's not just like a entry or mid-level. It's somebody who has influence in whatever he's working in. Some kind of director or somebody like that. It's for sure. But to see even a man like that being so scared to say his name and turned so red, and you'll see in the video, turned red. I'm gonna blur the face, but he turned red, pitch red, like just red. As I'm pretending to be on the phone and making it look like I'm talking to him. And I'm filming him actually, and somebody else, and they all like move around. Like it's one thing to see like, okay, I don't want to like, they will just be stable, calm, but just turning red and scared. Not even scared, just like embarrassed or something like that. Or just like very coy. And it's not the first time that's happened. It happens all the time. For me, it's the best part is when I see there's a facade that disgusts me the most. It's like the office, like a group of like this female. I'm not even that they want to be so fierce and femme fatale and radical, and then it's so easy for me to see them just how they turn red and just like embarrassed and know that they just oh yeah, oh no, we gotta behave, we can't speak too much about this. And when I bring up the company name and I'm listening to it, sometimes I don't even put my headphones on, just listen to a conversation I used to have with my manager, saying that this place, we have to kind of, this is in the middle of nowhere. We have to talk about race, and not even talk about race. We just have to make sure people understand that race, like we should be open. And this is not, this is a place of work. You shouldn't bring your whatever you have a believe in regard race or other people's race in this fashion. So basically, talk about diversity that was lacking in regard of like how people treat others based on race, and then bring up the company that employ me and high influenceable and who they've donated money to, which includes this Roy Moore, they have to say it in this fashion. Well, this trash are playing this fierce femme fatale feminist like you clown trash. By the way, I love to bring that back up because I'm progressive. I'm not saying that because I'm against feminism. I'm against false feminism. I'm against this trash that play this fierce femme fatale, and just like this one, I'm almost lost it because they're killing and torturing children and women in this program. So I don't even just detest them. I hate them for what they try to cover up. And it's hard for me to just let go sometimes because I know what they do to women. And to hear this trash like, not real. I was like, you think I'm gonna let your fucking retard life you out of touch? And I'm like, you better careful. This one co-worker of mine, I remember when she was staring at me. I was like, if you stared at me today at this stage, it will be dangerous. I'm just telling you. It's not a threat. I'm warning you. If you stare at me like this, you want to see real hate. If you want to see the hate of somebody who knows what this program is really about, not your fucking fantasized way, you're going to have a problem. I promise you. This is not your fantasized, put together bubble thing you put together. I know what you guys do to women and children. It's not what you're trying to present, you piece of fucking lowlife. I swear to God, for those women suffering and dying, I'm not gonna fucking let you live your fantasy. You'll see what this is about. You'll see. I'm not fucking allowing that. Excuse my emotion, because to see this fucking trash who think that I'm gonna let them live the fantasy that they always try to negate and act like they're doing it for bringing a corner. You piece of fucking low life. You think I think you care about them? You're an opportunist shit involved in a program that's cutting vaginas of women, that's torturing women in sexual matters commonly, and you think I'm gonna let you go into your fucking routine? I swear to God, you've given me the purpose to make sure that I don't let you live that fantasy. You see the emotion that just even thinking about it, it's so disturbing to see these women. I don't even call them women, females. Reconstructing the reality, the program they're involved in that is killing women and torturing them in so many horrible ways. And you know what happens when I put the reality in their face? They get angry that I'm daring to expose them for what they're part of. And the rage they have is the rage that they've been humiliated for the horror of what they've done to women and what they involve in the program that does to women. And they are mad that I'm not allowing them to live the fantasized reality they put together, where they're some avengers or protectors. You piece of fucking shit. These piece of shits are the most disturbing to me. Because they're frauds. This horror of what this woman goes through. And this trash negating them, some of them just trigger me so disgustingly. They think they can be like, nah, that's not real. So, yeah, that torture's not real. Okay, stare at me like that. I'll show you what's real then. So I have to calm down. I have to calm down. The entitlement of this piece of shit is magical. They can be like, oh, that's not real. A woman's like, I've been suffering, I'm dying, God help me, I'm dying. Not real. You know how easy you can lose your mind, especially when it comes from people who want to play the fierce femme fatale feminists. It's like, nah, for corny trash, you don't give a fuck about corny. How can you say this is not real and you're like, for corny piece of shit, it's just not convenient for you, huh? That's the reality of what you're involved in. Disgusting trash. But that's one thing. On top of that, the fact that Roy Moore was allegedly doing things to 14-year-old kids as an assistant, he has a 30-some-year-old man. And the company donated money. The company I used to work for, that put me in this program, donated money to that man. And there he is, no, we're protecting kids. You can't even say the name of this man, you piece of shit. That's validation that you just nothings. Because what's happened to me, one way of degrading the brain, one tactics they've been using to break people down is to use your libido in these degrading ways. They force you to have sexual arousal towards children. It's so disgusting. They rewire you, inclusive of your libido, in these degrading ways. You've seen a lot of the videos. Matter of fact, watch the last video. These babies, for me, they're stealing into the youngest, the baby, like literally baby, like babies, like infants, like less than a year old, to toddlers, to preteen, to teenager, to early teen, mid-teen, late teen. But obviously, when it comes to late teen, it becomes like they're getting closer to women. They're getting closer to looking like women, like adult. At that point, it's just like. But can you imagine the level of manipulation? Those babies. It's so degrading. They rewire your libido in these most degrading ways. They've already done a lot of disgusting things. I've showed videos. Last week was some disgusting where it wasn't even like the thing is like I barely saw the child. It was a blur of a child behind. You just see like a blur of like a big kid that's like a girl. It looked like a girl. You don't even know if it's a girl or not. You just looking at the hair. I will think it's you don't know. The truth it's not. But if I was gonna guess, I would guess a girl. Kind of heavy set, big kid. No, not heavy set, but kind of bigger kid than . And just like a blur of it, just walking. They stimulate me so intensely, and throughout the whole week it wasn't. They just play your libido. They crank up your libido. Listen. The way they play your sexual arousal is degrading. They just disturb you every time they want to mess with you. It's like, oh, there's a child that stimulation, boom. But what day was it? Wednesday or Thursday? It was so intense. Whenever they did that to me, it was so intense that there was a Thursday. I swear to God, I felt my testicles were about to blow. They were like, it's just like the stimulation. I'm not even. Excuse my language. But the level of manipulation of my libido can almost cause me to have blue balls. Intense, like almost pain. Almost pain, and when you have that kind of level of pain, you have to release, because it's just not the level. You cannot be in that state of like manipulation or where you're aroused to that level and just no. This becomes just uncomfortable, disturbing. Because for me, they do that, and then when there's children, again, boom, boom. So they keep manipulating me in this degrading way and keep cranking up my libido. It disturbs you. I had to release. Because after they did this thing towards the blur of a child, I woke up, I was like, man, this is just so intense. If it keeps going, it's gonna get worse. So, unfortunately, if there's something I could take, just kill my libido. I would definitely kill my libido. Matter of fact, hopefully I could take something that just temporarily kill it. But if it's between taking a thing that kills your libido forever, or keep it as is, I think I would lean toward killing the libido forever. I feel wrong saying that. But the way they can play with your brain and manipulate you to have these libido experiences of sexual arousals, it is so disgusting. You start thinking, you know what? Most of my life, my libido, my sexual drive has been a driver of my life, like a lot of men. As in, drives you to want to be with somebody, with a woman, and just even when you're with a woman, you want to be sexually active. So me saying that losing my libido instead of being manipulated this way, it's just show how bad it is. Because I would never say that. But it's getting to that point, and they play with you. Oh, disgusting! Sick. Make you have stimulation. Like sometimes they make me even lick out. I was like, oh, what the? It's so disgusting. And they crank it up. And then act when they make you experience that, oh, babies, are little girls. It's like disgusting. Every time. Every time. It's just like you can feel like something just boom. Even naturally toward women, I will not even have this level of intense stimulation. But they do this, they make you have this experience toward their babies and stimulate you. Like, oh, you had that experience when you were a kid. No. I'm not a child, and I'm an adult, and I will never have this reaction like that. And as a kid, I didn't experience that stimulation when it's intense, disgusting. They just try to make me experience something, and they make me think, but I remember when you were playing with this as a kid, you play mom and dad with this. I'm a 30-some-year-old, they're here bringing up things of me at 10 years old. And like, now we're just mimicking something. And you're mimicking something. You're manipulating my brain. How do you mean mimicking something? Can you imagine you're mimicking a libido experience. A sexual arousal. That's what you're doing. You're forcing me to have sexual arousals. And then try to say, no, but you felt like that when you were like 10 years old. What? Who in the F retardation this trash are retarded? And they want you to be like, makes sense, right? And that's when they can become clowns, like, you retard, you just manipulate my brain these ways. Grown men should not even be manipulated to be thinking like a child in the first place. Then on top of that, it's even falsified. And then you're like, what? Is it wrong to make your brain be like a child? You're retarded in every level. The clowns. The thing that gets me, like, just say that you're doing it to torment me. Don't try to make sense of it like it's just like it just makes sense like that. That's the clowns of this people. Just say that we're doing that because it's pushing to insanity. Not like, now it makes sense, And sometimes they look at me like, yeah, no. So I was at the office. And if you see the last video, you see a child actually in the office. Now, this child was hanging out in this office for hours. And this child, I just started nowhere, I started seeing a child just like being trying to be, and like not a child, just like who's like a teenager or something. No, a preteen, a 10-year-old, 9-year-old. At first I was like, I'm like, this person looks really short. Is that a child? And I'm not sure. I'm like, oh my, and I was like, oh, that is for sure a child, like a 10-year-old. It's like they are literally bringing children up. And this child is just not there just for a guy, there for hours, 2-3 hours. I left the office, that child was still there. For hours, just hanging there. And they did that to them. They're like, oh, now they're gonna castrate you now. I was like, you've been saying they castrate me for years, okay? So they're gonna castrate me, but you told me that about that a long time ago, okay? They're saying that now because I'm like, oh no, this is me this time. No, this time, this is. And it's so theatric, they protect their back like trash, you disgusting. You brought that child here so you can do the manipulation and act like protecting children, as always. And this child wanted to be seen. At one point, they were trying to make me think of like an actress I saw, like that's my age. That was playing a teenager when she was like 18 years old. They tried to make me think of like, this kid is like a 10-year-old. And they were trying to manipulate him. It's like, now we proved it. Now we proved it. It's like, yeah, we proved that you don't do the pedophilia type of torture, right? Big retarded ass. Nah, we proved that. And it's funny, they say this thing is like in this mystic way. It's like, no, we proved that. We don't do that. It's like, and they make me think of like how they try to play with my brain and the way they were trying to make me look at this kid. I was like, I got her there just running around like the child that she is. And there's one moment where she was just kind of serious, and they tried to make me look at her like an adult. But she was like, you can see, like she was kind of serious, like it was like, yo, just a baby, just a kid that you play in my brain. Then you prove that you just manipulate me to try to look at this child in this sexual way. Try to make me look at her like she's a woman, and she's like, oh, I'm just a baby. Truly. And let me show you. See that kid? I'm blurring. Running, yeah. Stimulating me. Bah! Like, you know, I was thinking about taking the other picture when they were trying to like be serious, like, oh, child, and they should playing with hair, and then you to see this trash wanting me to let them. It's like, I'm gonna throw the shit out of this kid. You keep laughing. I was like, I'm gonna keep do your gimmick stuff. Do your gimmick stuff. You'll see how things become here. These perps have these ways, right, to make themselves laugh. Like take these things as if like, yo, you know, people are dying and killing in this program, right? And it's always some of the weakest human being laughing it off. I'm like, I'm gonna throw this thing at do this hair. And then this retard dude, that's her hair too. It's like, you see, that's cool, trashy ass, little big ass glass. Anyways, but they stimulated me, and it was nasty. Now, the truth is, at this point, it doesn't anger me. It disturbs me. It disgusts me. But this is the things they do every day. I walk to the train, they babies do stimulation every time. They manipulate me in this ways all the time. It's funny that they think, oh, when we do it, this is really proof that. No, you do the same thing. Every day I go everywhere, they bring their kids again, they start laughing sometimes. Because they know they can be, my brain can play. I was coming back to the train, there was an older kid, but that's like when I say older, still young, like 13, 14-year-old kid. She was taking a time walking to the other elevator. I'm like, oh my goodness. They did that to like the kid like 3-4 years younger than you earlier. They did that to the baby that just walked there. They do that to this kid is like coming. She wants to be seen so bad because she knows they're all aware the brain can be played with. They know. They know. Even the children know that the brain can be played with. Then they use this loser. Right now I'm at home, so I have the childlike trash. Like, no, they are something. That's something. Yeah, no, they are. That's what I keep hearing from Perps. Here, in this place where I live, childlike. No, they are. It's not us. They are. That's the kind of clowns I deal with when I'm here. Very childlike, like I said. At the office, like, nah, we got you now, huh? Our babies. But they're gonna catch you now, and then they'll take the back by their rug and walk away. Go to trashy ass, just stimulate me toward this child. I got a good picture of her. They can play with me how they tried to play with me before. Like, here, this is real. Try to use some actress for that was at my age. Then not today I'm here, I'm dealing with this retard, tell me what's real. Like, you feel me? Yeah, not real, okay. You gonna tell me what's real, you retard like you. But at the office, here. Matter of fact, what you're seeing here is the person that was just supposed to observe the natural experiences when I saw this kid running. Too natural. Now, I'll never identify with this manipulation. I make sure that I put that in their faces. That's why when they do these things, I make sure I put this. I don't feel like that little trash noise to me. On top of that is that.
Implication. The brain is excitable. Electrical stimulation of the cerebral cortex can produce movements.
This is the book.
Fact. Stimulation of the diencephalon in unanesthetized cats evoked well-organized motor effects and emotional reactions.
This is the monkey.
Hess, 1932.
This is today my office.
Motor and emotional manifestations may be evoked by electrical stimulation of the brain in awake animals.
This is the perp supposed to make me think I'm not being manipulated.
In single animals, learning, conditioning, instrumental responses, pain, and pleasure.
This is where the facts come from.
By electrical stimulation of the brain in rats, cats, and monkeys. Delgado, 1954. Olds and Milner, 1954. Implication: psychological phenomena may be controlled by electrical stimulation of specific areas of the brain. Fact. In colonies of cats and monkeys, aggression, dominance, mounting, and other social interactions have been evoked, modified, or inhibited by radio stimulation of specific cerebral areas. Delgado, 1955-1964. Implication: social behavior may be controlled by radio stimulation of specific areas of the brain. Fact. In patients, brain stimulation during surgical interventions or with electrodes implanted for days or months has blocked the thinking process, inhibited speech and movement, or in other cases has evoked pleasure, laughter, friendliness, verbal
other programs and campaigns, and there's two areas that I got very concerned about. One was weather modification applications. The other was the effect on human beings. If you can modulate a signal that the brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response, the brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain, and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just to be about triggering emotions. You could change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts and being able to manipulate those, that requires a different kind of sophistication.
Control their or evening than to eyes for it or
consent weapons. View can be done remotely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation of being exposed to electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation for the use of cognitive control or behavior control. I've submitted a paper to you, and there's another paper submitted to each member from another physician in Kansas City, alluding to the same thing.
You do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. and they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War.
And what I understand is, I don't know if the Rebecca, I don't know why.
You can call it a eugenics program. But also walk them to the. We want to see if they can hyper game theory. How do you? They want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define the probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control them? Most people don't believe that. Well, you can't control me. I have my own free will.
B2K, or
lifespan of similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds. And vice
monarch libido to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal.
malodorants. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, week or so.
Be my guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare, exactly, it's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can
You alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds,
personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, okay, so.
Been of a long history of abuse of the human.
So you clearly hear the I know this is what they're doing to me. You can clearly hear that this technology can sexually manipulate you, can make you have sexual arousals. You hear the pedophilia type of torture. The funny part is, the people who put me in this program, I used to be employed, and I used to be employed by them. Currently, I'm employed by these people. These people employ me to fire me. It was no longer about employmentship here. They just want to partake, even though I did. It's funny, I did so much more than what the team that I'm currently in can do. Which happened in this way, made me look more of an asset for the company than ever in regard of what I can do. That was their job. I knew when I got employed by them, that's what they're supposed to do. Matter of fact, it's funny, today they don't even pay me as much as what I used to get paid. Matter of fact, I just got a little bit of a boost, but it's really, when you look at inflation, it's much lower than what I used to get paid when I used to work at that place. And so it's clear who destroyed me. And what they're doing is, because they brought this kid to stay around for hours, basically. they make me think of when I used to work at the company that put me in this program. A lot of things that used to happen is like a very like family oriented, try to show that try to show that they just it's like a lot of like a facade. It was the one thing that people love to do is like when they have their kids, when they sometimes come to the office and walk their kids to the office when they on the day offs, right? That's just the norm. They'll bring they say it's like, hey, let's go back to work, we're gonna show my kids where I work. That's very normal. They do that all the time, and this is the common things they do. So for example, I went there once and I took my mother who's a perp. But that's just something that's common you do. Like you bring your family and you walk by, it's like, hey, this is where I work, this is this, and then people like come around. Like when mothers have just had, like let's just say they're on maternity leave, they come to the office, they say hi with their babies, everybody goes around, say hi, it's like a lot of BS actually. Because I remember it's like, I don't care about their kids. Okay, I had to pretend like, oh my gosh, how are you? Like it was like a facade. What they've been doing to my memories to that is implanting the stimulation they make me have today. And it's like, no, you see that we're mapping. It's like, no, you're making me have my memories being falsified of this nature. Because they do these things. It's like, no, you felt the stimulation. It's like, no, I didn't. You're making me have the stimulation in my memories. Because today, this is the nasty things you make me have. With this kid that just hang out in the office for hours. For whatever reason. Which I know one of the reasons perhaps to be seen. So, and the kid was just really just walking. And they do this thing with hair. Where the hair is like just like, oh my gosh, and she got a lot of hair, so she's like, she do her hair and they try to stimulate, like, oh, you see her hair. It's so nasty. I'm like, no. They put me in a program where they rewind and alter the mind. There's one thing at the office they play with is like, I remember when a coworker came with the little kid that's like 4 or 5 years old, the little girl. She was like just looking at me weird. I remember it was her, it was the father and my coworker. There, they come to my cubicle, and I was like, hey, how are you? Having a conversation, trying to talk to this little girl. I was like, hey, how are you? The father's there, the mother's there, and she just looked at me. It's like, yo, did you get a tattoo there? Like, because she got like a little sticker. It's like, what gang did she get joined in? Like, we're having just like banter, right? The way they've just falsified this is disgusting. But then I saw a coworker of mine who was wearing like a skirt. She just like started walking around me, like just doing this weird walk next to me, just like cat walking. I'm like, what is she? Like, it's like, nah, they're just mapping. It's like, this company sells industrial supplies, okay? If they were doing something, it's mostly defamation related. They try to be like, no, they're just like investigating trash and just show herself like, so I'm supposed to look at you. It's like, oh, the way he looked at, oh my gosh, that's stupidity. And they really tried to stimulate me now into when I was talking to the kid and the parents. Delusional trash. So today they're trying to be like, no, and no, you're not. You're changing my brain. You alter my brain. And by the way, the people who put me in this program, this is who they are.
Against children.
It is that DA.
They donate money to this man.
From young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA.
But
Evangelical, he's putting the Christ back in Christmas. Wow.
This is Roy Moore.
It wasn't just the mall, folks. One Alabama journalist claims that Moore was also banned from the YMCA for his inappropriate behavior in soliciting sex from young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA.
That's a good Yeah, that's a good piece.
That's me walking by the place and say the name. The person was scared to even. She started sitting down. As I was hearing that, because I wasn't paying attention, I wasn't focusing. they say the name, the way they, with the effort they put in to say the name. Can't say Roy Moore openly. Gotta time it right. Now, this is me talking to my manager at that company that donated money to this man called Roy Moore.
That's how it works. I'm not here to change the world that you're coming to, but when it comes to you, here it's all about the birth. It's not about where you're from. It's not about where this individual. Something of that nature will just, I think, awaken all of us. But it's something that's been, impacted. I think that's how it works. Whatever. I'm not here to change the world that you're coming to, but when it comes to you,
I'm blanking out the whole name. You hear me say, when you come to this place,
The super PAC supporting Roy Moore in Alabama. Moore's campaign was compromised when several women accused him of sexually assaulting them.
the world that you're coming to, but when it comes to you, here it's all about the birth. It's not about where you're from. It's not about where this individual. Something of that nature will just, I think, awaken all of us. But it's something that's been, impacted. I think that's how it works. Whatever. I'm not here to change the world that you're coming to, but when it comes to you,
Gave over $500,000 to super PAC supporting Roy Moore in Alabama. Moore's campaign was compromised when several women accused him of sexually assaulting them as teens.
well, the last part you just heard is a New York Times piece about the company that donated money to Roy Moore. The whole piece is about them. You hear me talk to my manager about talking about diversity, and no matter where you're from, when it comes to work, it shouldn't matter where you're from. People should not. And I'm telling him, I'm not here to change the world. This is not my job. I'm here to do my job. I'm not here to change your world. I'm not here to change their world. I'm just here to work. That's it. So when they come to work, everybody should think about this is just work. It's not about whatever belief you have about people. But no matter if they're racist or not. I'm currently employed with people like in this company that's very diversity focused and all that. They take me as like, you just try to negate who destroyed my life. And that company destroyed my life. They're donating money to a man that was picking up young girls, which is trying to flip it into me. Having kids pretending to get raped. And then manipulate my brain is like, now we're just observing trash, you're not observing anything. The reason why you participate in that is because you can be involved in the technology that can do that to the brain and to the body. So, tell my target individuals stay strong and see this trash for what they are.